At the age of 19, the poor mechanical engineer Karl Benz, who had just graduated from college, would never have imagined that he would be creating the world's first and biggest automobile manufacturing company. He would never have imagined that the pursuit of his dreams would create an entire industry. And he would never have imagined the surprising role his wife would play in all of this. Hi everyone, my name is Diptanshu Jain, and today I am going to talk about the interesting story of Mercedes Benz. Karl Benz was born in 1844 in the German town of Mühlberg. His father, who was a locomotive engineer, passed away when Benz was just 2 years old. You see, Benz's childhood wasn't easy, and his mother worked hard day and night to support his education. Just like his father, machines is what interested Karl from a young age, and around the age of 15 he got into the Polytechnic school at Karlsruhe to pursue mechanical engineering. And it was here that Benz's dream of building a horseless carriage took shape. In other words, Karl wanted to build the world's first automobile. Till this time the world had only seen railways and boats running on steam engines. However, for individual transport, people still relied on horses, bicycles and horse carriages. There were no motorized vehicles for individuals, and though there had been many attempts to build a motorized vehicle, none of them was practical enough to be adopted on scale by the masses. And this is exactly what Karl Benz wanted to build. However, reality got in the way of Karl's passion, and he had to work several jobs to make ends meet post-graduating from Karlsruhe. And after working for 7 long years, it was in 1871 when Karl finally started his own venture with a mechanic named August Ritter. They started an iron foundry and a mechanical workshop. However, the business had very few orders, and Ritter soon decided to leave the company. And luckily, it was during this period that Karl met Bertha Ringer, who would later become his wife. Bertha believed in Karl's dreams right from the start, and being from an aristocratic family, she decided to use her dowry to buy out Ritter's entire share of the company, so that Karl could pursue his dreams. However, this was not the only time when Bertha would rescue Karl, as you will see later. Both Karl and Bertha ran the company for the next few years, and it was during these years that Benz showed his engineering brilliance. For instance, Karl invented and patented the gasoline 2-stroke engine, battery-powered ignition system, the spark plug, carburetor, gear shift, and a water radiator. In spite of these patents, Karl's business was not doing well, and he had to make it to a joint stock company and raise money from other investors, all of which led to his stake in his own business being reduced to only 5%. Karl's say in the company built by him was now limited and not given importance. And finally, in 1883, he decided to leave the company. However, all was not over for Karl, as he met 2 businessmen at a bike shop in Mannheim, Max Rose and Frederick Wilhelm, who shared the same interest as Karl in the potential of gasoline engines, and together they formed Benz and Company. Their business did well, and Karl, as always, kept working on his passion project of building a motorized vehicle parallelly. And it was finally in 1885, 20 years after he first dreamed of it, that Benz completed building a self-powered carriage. He patented his creation in 1886 and called it the Motor Wagon. In essence, the Motor Wagon was the world's first automobile. It was also the world's first gasoline-powered vehicle that ran on a 4-stroke single-cylinder gasoline engine that could produce up to 3/4 of a horsepower. However, Benz, being a cautious businessman, was still low on confidence about the reliability of the vehicle built by him for long distances. Bertha, Karl's wife, suggested putting the vehicle for a road test, but Karl, being a perfectionist, disagreed as he believed in perfecting the vehicle first. And in August 1888, Bertha Benz did something bold and unbelievable. One fine morning in August 1888, Bertha with her 2 sons quietly rode the motor wagon out of the workshop and set out for her hometown Pforzheim, which was about 106 kilometers away. Bertha hadn't informed Karl Benz about the same because he never would have agreed on such an expedition. So he woke up to find a letter from her informing him that she had left for Pforzheim with her 2 sons Eugene and Richard. At the time, no motorized carriage had previously attempted a journey so long, But Bertha was determined to show the world what an engineering marvel the motor wagon was. It took Bertha 12 hours to cover the distance, and the journey was fraught with challenges. But Bertha was not only entrepreneurial in nature, she had a creative mind as well. The first problem that Bertha faced was procuring gasoline on the way to keep the vehicle running. You see, back then there were no fuel stations. And to solve this, Bertha stopped at pharmacies on the way to procure the essential gasoline, where it was stocked as a cleaning solvent. The first pharmacy where she bought the gasoline is also now considered as the first fuel station in history. The second problem that Bertha faced was that the wooden brake block to stop the car was not effective. So she decided to stop by a cobbler and asked him to make a leather pad for the brake, and basically invented the brake pad. The fuel lines also got blocked on the way, and Bertha used her hatpin to clear them. The vehicle failed on steep uphill sections, and Bertha and her sons had to get down and push it. So upon her return, she suggested Karl to install a lower gear in the vehicle for steep inclines. People were shocked to see a car on the road, and they were more shocked to see a woman behind the wheel. And it was due to this daring feat of Bertha that the sales for the vehicle started picking up gradually, and by 1893, Benz introduced another model, this time a four-wheeler called Victoria. But it was the third Benz model, called the Velo, which finally established the market for automobiles. The Velo was lightweight, durable and inexpensive as compared to previous models. And the company sold 1200 units of this model from 1894 to 1902. The Velo is considered as the first mass-produced car in the world, and due to its high sales, Benz and Company had become the largest automobile manufacturer in the world. However, with the beginning of the 20th century, the sales of Benz and Company started to decline, and they were faced with yet another challenge in their journey. Around the same time that Benz and Company was introducing new models in 1890s, there were two important developments taking place that would pose a problem for Benz and Company. The first being that Daimler Motor and Gesellschaft, another German automobile company, led by two passionate engineers, Gottlieb Daimler and Wilhelm Maybach, was introducing automobile models with equally or more powerful engines as compared to that of Benz. Also, Gottlieb Daimler was not only a skilled engineer but had a strong business acumen and strong connections as well, something which Karl Benz completely lacked. And this helped DMG establish its presence in other countries like France, Britain and USA early on. However, Daimler unfortunately passed away in 1900, leaving Maybach in control of the company. The second important development was that in 1894, the first automobile competitions took place, and such competitions instantly became popular in France and USA. The sight of fast-moving vehicles would draw in huge crowds, and this is what DMG capitalized on. DMG cars won most of these initial motorsports competitions, which increased their visibility and sales. And it is these competitions that also gave rise to the historic Mercedes brand. Emil Jelinek, who was a sales agent for DMG, was passionate about motorsports. So he requested Maybach to build a powerful car for these competitions and also name the car after his young daughter Mercedes. The Mercedes 35 horsepower, which was introduced in 1901, could run at speeds of up to 90 km per hour and went on to win multiple races. And due to the success of this car, DMG started branding all their future cars with the name Mercedes. And by 1904, DMG was producing Mercedes with about 90 horsepower that can run at speeds of up to 154 km per hour. On the other hand, Karl Benz was a stubborn and a cautious businessman who was averse to the idea of cars traveling at high speeds due to the inherent danger they carried. So Benz and Company failed to capitalize on the opportunity offered by motorsports competitions. And this led to their sales number falling from 643 in 1900 to 385 in 1901 to 226 in 1902 to only 172 sales units in 1903. However, Karl Benz relented after a few years, and the company soon started producing cars for such competitions. And the major breakthrough came with the Blitzen Benz. Built in 1909, the Blitzen Benz was built with just one objective in mind: to travel as fast as aerodynamically possible. It had a massive 21.5 litre engine that could produce up to 200 horsepower and could reach speeds of up to 225 km per hour. This was faster than not only other cars but also planes and trains at the time. And this motor racing success put Benz once again in the spotlight, with its sales number increasing exponentially. However, the arrival of First World War changed everything. With the arrival of the First World War, both Daimler and Benz had to shift their production to commercial vehicles and aero engines. However, it was the post-war period which was more difficult for both companies as they faced multiple challenges. The first challenge was that the German market for automobiles had dried up post its loss in the First World War, and all the companies were now facing a depressed economy. The second problem they faced was stiff competition from companies like Opel, Adler, Auto Union, all of whom had become major car production companies by then, and all of them wanted a share of this depressed market. And the third problem they faced was that their export market disappeared completely. Since both Daimler and Benz were German companies, countries like France, Britain and the US, which were major importers of cars before the war, severed ties with them. In short, no one wanted to buy products built by the enemy. In order to encounter these challenges and ensure their survival, both companies, Daimler and Benz, made a smart strategic decision to pull resources for production in order to save costs, and signed an agreement of mutual interest in 1924. However, both of them still retained their individual brand names. And after 2 years of coexisting together, in 1926, both these companies decided to join hands completely, and the company Daimler-Benz AG was formed out of this merger. And from here on, all the cars produced by them were under the brand name Mercedes Benz. And the rest is history, as all of us know. Unfortunately, Karl Benz passed away in 1929, just 3 years after the merger. However, during his lifetime, he was able to witness how far the automobile industry had come from the simple three-wheeled motor wagon which he had patented in 1886. Post the merger, Mercedes-Benz kept introducing models that stayed true to its legacy of luxury, innovation and engineering excellence. One such example is the 540K, introduced in 1936. The 540K had a supercharged 8-cylinder engine that could produce up to 180 horsepower and reach speeds of up to 170 km per hour with its aerodynamic design. In the same year, Mercedes also introduced the 260D, which became the world's first diesel passenger car. The Second World War was another challenging period for Mercedes-Benz as they had to shift their production completely to war tanks, trucks and aircraft engines. The company was also known to use forced labor during this period to keep up with the production demand, and post the war it also lost many of its overseas assets. However, the company quickly restructured itself and was back to producing passenger vehicles by 1947. Mercedes-Benz kept introducing iconic models one after the other, and one such notable model was the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gullwing, introduced in 1954. The car's most distinctive feature was its upward opening doors, which resembled the wings of a seagull in flight. Not only was the car aesthetically beautiful, but it had a powerful 3-liter inline-6 engine that could produce up to 215 horsepower and accelerate from 0 to 100 km per hour in just 8.5 seconds. And it could also reach up to top speeds of about 260 km per hour. The list of marvels produced by Mercedes-Benz is endless, and all this would never have been possible if the young engineer Karl Benz, who dreamed of building the world's first automobile, did not persist and endure for his dreams. Nor would it have been possible had Bertha Benz not dared to take the historical journey to her hometown, and nor would it have been possible if Daimler and Benz did not shake hands in times of crisis. Hope all of you learned something from today's video. Do show your support by liking and subscribing my channel, because that is what would encourage me to keep making more such videos. Thank you and goodbye.